Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. Happy Sunday. It is so good to be here with each and every one of you as we gather together to celebrate this truth, to celebrate the magnificence and significance of God in, through, and as us. Let us begin, as we always do, with prayer. And so in this moment, I invite you to close your eyes and affirm with me: peace to my mind,
Peace to my mind.
peace to my heart,
Peace to my heart.
peace to my life,
Peace to my life.
peace to my mind,
Peace to my mind.
peace to my heart,
Peace to my heart.
peace to my life.
Peace to my life.
There is one mind, one power, one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all, that is working in us, through us, and as us. There is one life, and that life is the very life of God animating us now. I recognize that God, Mother, Father, God, all of God is right here, right now. And I know who and what God is. God is omnipotence. It is all power, all the power there is to be, do, or have anything. God is. I know that God is omniscience. God is all knowledge, all wisdom. It is the well from which all genius springs forth. I know that God is omnipresence, that God is not just here or just over there, but God is everywhere at all times. It is constantly encountered. There is no spot where God is not. And so I recognize that God is and is everywhere present, always available to us, neither comes nor goes. I remember that we are one with God and one of God. For we are individualized expressions of the divine. We are individualized expressions of love. We are individualized expressions of this power. We are individualized expressions of this genius. We are in wisdom. We are individualized expressions of the good. And so it is out of this awareness, knowing who and what God is, knowing who and what we are in, through, and as God, that we have great power to speak, and it shall be. So right here and right now, I declare that we are good, that we are blessed, that we are cared for, that we are supported, that there is compassion available for us right here and now. I affirm and I know that there is divine love guiding us and directing us. I affirm and I know that this gathering that we call the weekend service is blessed beyond measure. And so as it is blessed beyond measure, those of us who are participating in this service right here and now experience blessing as healing, experience blessing as shifts in our minds and then shifts in our lives. I am grateful and thankful for the healing that will take place as a result of each and every one of us intentionally choosing to be here right now. I am grateful and thankful for the blessings that will spring forth as a result of each and every one of us intentionally choosing to be here now. And so I now rest. I rest in the confidence of this word. I rest in the expectation of this word. I rest in the absolute knowingness of this word. And I allow God the good to be shown enough good in, through, and as our lives now. So with joy and thanksgiving, we rejoice. With joy and gratitude, we celebrate. And we move forward in this day, knowing that all is well. Together we say, amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it must be. Yes, yes. Well, hello again. Happy Sunday. I'm excited to be here. I hope that you're excited to be here. Of course, we're going to be continuing today with our Truth Sunday Masterclass, studying The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker, beginning a new chapter today. And we're just glad that you're here, glad that you chose to be here. We know that some of you may be here for the very first time, and if you're a first-time guest, hello, welcome. It's good to see you. It's good to have you here. I am confident that you will receive something today, that you will receive something through the stream and through this class that will support you in being empowered in your life, that will support you in thriving through this week, that will support you in seeing yourself and your life differently, thus empowering you to live in a victorious manner and a confident way. If you are a first-time guest, we would love to stay in touch with you. And you see the information here on your screen. If you text the word welcome to this number, 347-472-1078, you'll receive a link to our digital connection card. Click that link and enter your information. And after you've submitted the information, you'll receive a text message that says you're all set, and indeed you are. And you'll be added to our mailing list. We send out a message, an email that goes out every Friday. And you'll get pertinent information, some things that we'll share in the announcements and other things that you may want to have or receive or have close by in your inbox when you have need of it. So with that, I think we can get into the announcements, and then we can move forward with the meditation and get into class. Today is God Talk Sunday.
Yes, yes.
Every third Sunday is God Talk Sunday. This is a beautiful opportunity to ask questions. Now, you can ask questions about class. You could ask questions about sermons. You can ask questions about how to apply New Thought metaphysical principles to your life. What we recognize is that walking this path and coming to this path brings up a lot of questions, but also requires a great deal of unlearning.
Undoing.
And
yes.
Undoing, yes. And so we are here to support you in that. There may be something that's going on in your life, and you hear all these good things that we're talking about and affirming, and you're like, PY, PG, you don't know my life. Like, all of that stuff is good, but I'm trying to deal with real world situations. Good, because as I always say, if we cannot apply these principles and these teachings to our real felt experience, to what's really going on in our lives, it is useless. Throw it away, get rid of it. But guess what? My life has proven to me over and over and over and over again that I can rely on the truth of these principles when I make use of them, when I first understand them and then make use of them. And so we're here to support you, first in the understanding, so that you can begin to embody, and as you embody, you make use of it and demonstrate the truth in your life. So please join us today at 1 p.m. The God Talk is virtual. It happens on Zoom. So for our first-time guests, if you're hearing this and you're like, wow, this sounds great, this sounds awesome, I'll put it up on the screen again. You'll see it later in the stream. But you have to join our mailing list. And so when you join our mailing list today, after you successfully submit your information, not just your phone number, but also your email address, then you will receive an email in your inbox. So I've noticed where some first-time guests are not including their email. And so if you want the God Talk information, that is only sent via email. So it's very important that when you're completing the digital connection card that you include your email address there. But again, so the God Talk happens on Zoom. It's 1 hour. It's always wonderful. It's always awesome. What we find week or month in and month out are the questions connect. Sometimes the question you came in with, what someone else's question addresses the questions you had. And it's a beautiful time, a beautiful time. So we look forward to seeing many of you today at 1 p.m. Every Wednesday morning, we gather together for prayer at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You see the information here on your screen. Call in, enter the access code. We share a reading that day, and then we pray, and then go on with our day. This doesn't last more than 10 minutes. It's very short and sweet. You also see there's a playback number. We record the prayer, and so you can access that prayer at any time, 24/7. One of the things that we have added to our weekly email as of this past Friday is a link to the recorded prayer. So if you're on our mailing list and you check the weekly email, we've added a new section called Prayer Support. And under that Prayer Support section of the email, you will see a link every week that will point you back to a recording of the most recent prayer. And I hope that that's beneficial to many folks.
Yes, there's more than one way to access and join us live, get the playback, however you need it, when you need it. We want to be available and to remind you to take this momentum into your life wherever you are, whatever day or time.
Yes, yes. And know that as a community, we're holding space for each other. right? Those of us that gather together intentionally, it is for ourselves, but it's not just for ourselves. We are knowing this truth for CSC and every soul that is connected to Celebration Spiritual Center in any way. We are knowing this truth for our nation and for our world. If you have a prayer request, you can send an email to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. It's really easy to do. Obviously, to send an email, you receive a response letting you know that we received it. And we, Pastor Yolanda and myself, along with our prayer champions, will continue to know the truth with you and hold the highest watch with you or for your loved one or friends or whomever you may be even sending a request on behalf of. We will hold that highest watch with and for you. It's also wonderful as you remember to do it, as your prayers are answered or as things shift in the lives of your loved ones, to let us know about that as well. We love to hear love stories and praise reports about how prayer is working in your lives. We, CSC, will be closed on Memorial Day weekend, which means we will not be having service on Sunday, May 29th. This, of course, is our annual schedule. We're always closed on Memorial Day weekend. And so we hope that you will plan accordingly, take advantage of the long weekend in whatever way feels good to you. And so that means that next Sunday, the fourth Sunday, will be our last Sunday for the month of May for the Truth Sunday class, and then we'll resume again on the first Sunday of June. And that completes our announcements for today. So we can now move into the very capable hands of PY as she leads us in the meditation experience.
Experience is key to taking these teachings that we are reading and beginning to integrate and understanding them on a deeper level. It's interesting to have all the books in your library to acquire the knowledge, but it is the direct experience, your personal experience of God, that is what guides your life. My experience with God is not your experience with God. It is so personal. It is so close. It is deeper than even your breath. Imagine that. It is a continual support and love and guidance and encouragement and understanding. It is unconditional. And so we use meditation to experience God for ourselves. It is not a looking outside to know what God is. It is only through an inward knowing that you get this deep experience of God. And so we take time every Sunday to meditate, to connect, to release, and to remind ourselves of what is true. And this month, I'm excited about what is true, what we are affirming. Divine love is flowing through me now. Wherever I am in my experience, I can close my eyes and I can remember these words. Divine love is flowing through me now. It is not hindered by external conditions. It is not impacted by my choices. It continues to flow in, through, and as me. And the now brings it so present that if you're in a split second, mind were somewhere else, bring it back to the now. Because this is where the point of power is. This is where the love is flowing, right here and now. So let's take this knowledge into our experience of God. So go ahead, look around the room and notice where you are. Just that slight looking around to bring yourself into your environment and into your body as we go deeper is always key. For sometimes our mind is somewhere that our body is not, right? And so, looking around the room, we notice that we are in a place of safety. We are in a place of support. We allow ourselves to go deeper into this alignment now. Plant the palms on the tops of the thighs and align the ears over the shoulders so that you're not leaning too far forward or too far back. And the shoulders over the hips, creating a nice a long line of energy, vertebrae stacking on top of one another. And from that place of direct connection and ease and peace, close your eyes. And begin to notice the internal landscape where the rivers of love are always flowing. And it is flowing on the breath, so we just take a few rounds to notice its flow, its movement, its availability to us now. And whether the breath appears to be deep or appears to be shallow, it matters not. We are grateful that it is moving. We allow divine love to flow through us now. Each round of noticing relaxes us more, brings us more present. Beautiful, everyone. And now let's take conscious control of the breath. Let us choose to use the breath in a way that relaxes our bodies, our minds, and our experience. Let us choose to allow divine love to flow. And from this place, let us send our focus and the breath into the low belly. We start there and build upon the foundation of breath. Together, inhale into the low belly on a count of 4. Hold it there, count of 4. And relax the jaw, sigh it out, count of 4. In through the low belly again, signaling the breath to drop deeper, the body to relax more, opening for more love to flow. Hold it there. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, sigh it out as the belly draws in and up. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage now, expanding the sides and the back and the front of the body. Making room at the center for love to flow. Hold it there. And sigh it out without collapsing the body. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, connecting both parts of the breath, expanding and now holding. And sigh it out. Navel draws in towards the spine. Everything is lifted. Everything is aligned. In through the low belly and up through the rib cage. Now up through and to the heart center. That chakra at the center of the chest. The altar to love. Hold it there. Sigh it out. And again. In and all the way up. Making its way, as if drawn by a magnet, to the heart altar. Hold it there. And sigh it out. Let's practice a few rounds of this deep breathing all the way in and up through the heart. When we get to the top, we hold, we close the lips, and we exhale through the nose. getting more quiet, more centered, more connected. This will be the form of our breath work in and out through the nose for the remainder of our experience in meditation. Beautiful. Now let's send this energy and this love, this healing, this joy into our feet. Maybe wiggle the toes, nice and easy. Stop the movement and relax the breath as the toes release their grip, knowing that they are supported and connected. Energy flows up through the shins and the calves. Relax the shins and the calves. Energy flows across the knees. We notice our alignment and we really bend in will and understanding to this love that is flowing. Relax the knees. Energy flows across the thighs and the hamstrings and the glutes. Relax the thighs, the hamstrings, and the glutes. We give permission now for love to flow through the lower half of our body. We are open and available for divine love to flow now. Energy flows from the base of the spine, now making its way through the subtle body system, through the chakra system. We breathe in. As the energy rises, we exhale and allow more energy and love. Breathing in, exhaling and allowing. In and up, the energy flows, and we are excited for it to do so. For in truth, nothing can block love. Let it flow now. In and up. Nice, easy release and to allow. Up, up, up and out the crown of our head. And as the energy is flowing up and out the crown, we feel and imagine in our minds our energy connecting to those we love, sending this divine flow into their lives, and sending this divine flow around the globe. For love cannot be stopped. We allow it to flow now. Let that energy move and make its way easily back down through the crown, across the third eye, down the throat, across the shoulders, down the arms, out the fingertips. And from this point, you can turn to the hands and decide. I choose to turn the palms up or down, grounding myself if they are down, up to receive more of this love. Scan the body one last time, noticing if there's any tension in the shoulders still, or the mind still, or any resistance to knowing that divine love is flowing. It's just easy to send the breath there. And knowing that the breath of God is breathing you, flowing through you. I will monitor the time. You just use this silent time to allow. If the mind becomes active, it is okay. Gently, tenderly, bring it back to the affirmative thought. Let it settle you. Let its knowing fill your body. Divine love is flowing. and it is flowing through you now. With our eyes closed, we enjoy our knowingness from the inside. As the eyes are closed, we experience the connection in our cells. We give permission for love to animate our bodies and our experience. The eyes are closed so that we can take the mental picture of how it feels on the inside to know connection. Divine love is never blocked. We decide to give it permission to flow. We decide to align ourselves with this truth. And we decide to use our power to experience love now. From this place of connection, we bring all of the ease, all of the peace, and all of the joy back with us now. Slowly begin to wake the body and elongate the breath, taking it deeper internally and feeling it. As you elongate the breath, maybe you wiggle the fingers and toes to signal the return. Maybe you stretch a little. Only gentle movement right now, for we allow nothing to disturb our peace. Bring the palms together at heart center and bow the chin towards the fingertips. And you'll notice that slight opening at the base of the neck and along the spine, sending love to any places that still feel a little tight or tense. And from this place of elongated breath and elongated body, we extend our experience in love now. Slowly flutter the eyes open, bringing the experience of love with us. Nice, easy gaze, no strain on the eyes. Inhale, raise the chin, raise the gaze. Exhale, releasing everything. Namaste.
Yes, yes, yes. Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
Well, it is time to get into class, and we're going to start with the new chapter, chapter 4
Yes,
today.
yes.
As a reminder, you see it on your screen. You please send your questions as you're reading to truthsunday@celebrationsc.org. We received one question that came in late. I think we will incorporate it because it's dealing with some of the first pieces of this chapter. So we'll elaborate on what Barker is writing there. Also, we have resources, and you'll see throughout the stream how to access those. Go to celebrationsc.org/power. Some of the, or all of the spiritual mind treatments that are offered in each chapter. We've created PDFs for those. Affirmations we've created. And for this week, we also added a link to a sermon series from June 2014, Where Awake Alive, 30 Days of Joy, which absolutely aligns and maybe help you to absorb what this chapter is all about. I love the fact that way back in 2014 we were teaching. I mean, you would think that we had based that series off of this book or this chapter, and we didn't. We don't even quote Barker in that series at all. But it's a wonderful series. One of Pastor Yolanda's messages, "Act Like You Got Some Sense," is there. I start the series off with, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Ooh, we going in, ain't we?
Can create heaven or hell through our experiences. So there's some wonderful things there, those resources are there in terms of accessing that sermon series. So let's get into the reading. Let's get my screen together so I can see what I need to see. All right. So as we've talked about in previous weeks, what we have done and how we've set ourselves up is we've created a wonderful foundation, and Barker has created a foundation for us in chapters 1, 2, and 3, that now we can start to apply the power of decision in specific ways and in specific areas to our lives. I'm just seeing a comment. Someone is asking, where are the links? Again, you will see it here on your screen. There is a link to resources. There it is right now. Access study resources plus links. So there's the information on your screen. You can use the QR code, or you can go directly to the URL.
And it's also in the weekly email too.
Yes, thank you. It is. All right. Decide to be happy. Happiness is genuine satisfaction with your present experience. I highlighted that because just starting there, understanding what it means to be happy, in the same way that I think people don't understand what it means to be wealthy, right? Which we'll get into later. But happiness is genuine satisfaction with your present experience. The number of people in today's world who are not happy is shocking. Think of 6 of your friends and estimate how many of them are satisfied with their current situations. Happiness is not a constant, but satisfaction can be. Satisfaction is a deep underlying sense of fulfillment, a sense of doing a good job with life. Again, he's already teaching here. Happiness is not a constant. Right? So again, many times we think something's wrong with our lives if we're experiencing sadness at any point in our life, right? But even in the midst of sadness, you can have access to still this sense of satisfaction with your life, and knowing that the external event is temporary.
Which to me is more in alignment with joy. Like that's that satisfaction, that connection to source that is just running through. Doesn't mean that you don't have experiences that can send you into the emotions, right? We're not judging the emotion, but we also have this deep understanding of something else that moves as the energy of those emotions move through.
Yeah. It is a good subconscious base which abides in certainty through the many vicissitudes at the conscious mind level of experience. Vicissitude, right, there's all kinds of things. Trouble, but we know trouble don't last always, right? There's things that are happening in life, right? But there's something that underneath, when the pandemic started, one of the things I said is in the midst of certainty, we have uncertainty outside of us. We have access to certainty within us, right? That's not a burying our heads in the sand like we're not in a pandemic, right? And 1 million Americans haven't died, right? But we also recognize that there's something within us that's allowed us to maintain at base level through these experiences and through the ups and downs. It is a basic wholesomeness which permits a flow of creativity to be in action in both mind and emotions. Unhappy people think they know why they are unhappy. The number of unhappy people I have listened to and counseled with, is legion. Their explanations of the many causes of their unhappiness are usually incorrect. They do not see themselves correctly. Their disturbed emotions distort their reasoning capacity. They want to change events, situations, conditions, and people in their individual worlds. They do not want to change themselves. They want a rearrangement of facts and dodge the concept of a rearrangement of ideas within their own consciousness. Right, and this is very true.
Mm-hmm. And again, he's pointing back to where the power is. It's not the condition. It's not those people that are making me unhappy. What he's saying is, I get to consciously decide what it means and what it means to me. And I also get to consciously decide I'm at the center of this experience and what I want it to mean and what I want to do about it.
Exactly. And so, as metaphysicians, right, what we know and we understand is that, I've used this example, I think I brought it up in class, right? If life is a mirror, right, and in our day-to-day, when we're looking at the mirror, when I'm looking at the mirror and I'm shaving and I see something that I don't like or I want to adjust with my beard, I don't point my razor or my shaver at the mirror and try to change that, right? I know I have to go to the cause. As metaphysicians, we understand that we change events, situations, conditions, and people by changing something within ourselves.
Right. And he's not saying cause in terms of the negative use of the word cause.
Right.
He's saying the source of the experience.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Cause and effect.
Right. I'm the source. The mirror ain't the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The mirror is not even really anything other than a reflection of what this causer is doing. Mm-hmm. I'm shaving. I see a place that I missed. Mm-hmm. I go back. I don't go to the mirror to change it.
Right. And here, of course, we all know the great song written by Saida Garrett and Glenn Ballard, right? I'm starting with who? The man or the person in the mirror, right? That's where it starts. Take a look at yourself and make the change, right? That's why that song has resonated globally, because it is a spiritual fact, truth of life. Happiness is an inside job. It is obvious that for most people in the world today, happiness is available. Everything is done that can possibly be done to make us happy. Our great corporations are producing more things for more people than ever before. They are manufacturing them faster, distributing them faster, and making them available at lower prices all the time. We exist in an almost gluttony of things. No longer can it be said that only people of wealth can have everything. People of lower incomes have television sets, automobiles, and good clothes. Yet unhappiness continues at all income levels and in all types of people, right? And this is something observationally we have to tap into and understand when we start to think about how we get to happiness, right? Because what we've seen, and it's interesting, he wrote this book in 1968, right? It's 2022. And he could have easily have been talking about the 21st century. When we think about all that exists now between 1968 and 2022, right? The gluttony of things, we need even a new term to even describe what that is. But what we can see, unhappiness continues at all income levels, right? Although people at all different income levels, and particularly in this country, right? We have access to so many different things, and yet unhappiness continues. But also, it's at every level. So we recognize that there's millionaires and billionaires are unhappy, right? We recognize that people of all cultures experience unhappiness, male and female, right? So there's something to this that has nothing to do with the stuff. It has nothing to do with the things, right? Because we have an overabundance of things. If things do not make unhappy people happy, then what does? A change of consciousness is the answer, and very few people want to change their consciousness. They want to change situations in their experience while remaining in their present static states of mind. A changed experience can only happen to a changed individual. This is a mental and spiritual law. It is the truth of life, and intuitively, every person knows this. Again, that's why I point to that song, right? It's like intuitively, everybody knows it. It resonates, this idea of the man in the mirror, right? And wanting to make the change. But it is also true that, people will quote Wayne Dyer, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? That means that I have to change, right? But that actually requires a level of courage. That requires a willingness to let go of the known and step into the unknown, right? It's a willingness to go into that place. I'm thinking about a sermon series, Beyond Survival. Let us go to the other side, and I based that off on some of Joe Dispenza's work. That willingness to step into the unknown. But what's so beautiful is the metaphysician is thinking about where she's going. Mm-hmm. Let us go to the other side. Yes, there's a journey between this side and that side, but I'm willing to do that because I'm seeking and desiring to be a changed individual, to have a changed experience. Mm-hmm. Try as we may to avoid this truth, it remains true. The world responds to you by corresponding to your thought. It becomes to you what you are to it. It outpictures your consciousness and can change only when your consciousness changes. Things, situations, and events do not happen. They are caused, and your mentality is a field of causation. This is metaphysical law 101, right? Right. This is that foundation, right? I'm thinking about, I think it's Emmett Fox, right? The mental equivalent. This idea, the world responds to you by corresponding to your thought.
Now, it's a direct reflection. Mm-hmm. That's how it's corresponding. Mm-hmm. It's direct reflection of thought.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here's the other thing. There's layers to this, mm-hmm. because so much of what's happening in the world, and my mind I'm thinking about now, I'm sending so much love to the folks in Buffalo after the terrible shooting that happened. And so you hear something like that, and it's like, those people caused that, or we caused that, or the city of Buffalo caused that. Mm-hmm. What we recognize that there's a collective consciousness around violence and so many other things. I mean, this was also a racist act, so we can think about all of the thoughts that we hold in our minds and unknowingly expect. Right. So it's not that someone is deliberately or intentionally choosing to think thoughts that cause unwanted things in their lives. Mm-hmm. But we do have to recognize, and again, I mean, when we talk about this country, this is a racist country, right? This is a country that was built on violence, right? And that's been accepted and taught as history and as right history. Mm-hmm. So then we accept that into our subconscious mind and continue to co-create a country or a world or a society that is built on those ways of being. Right? It's corresponding to the thought of America in that sense, and Americans and Americanism, right?
Right.
And that's important to understand because this has nothing to do with blame.
Absolutely.
Right? It has to do with cause and effect. Mm-hmm. Your present mind is cause to your world of effects. Everything that happens to you happens because of you. And again, this you is the thoughts that you may or may not be aware of, what's present in your subconscious mind. That's the you. It's not saying you or you like Greg, right? That's not what it's saying, right? That's very important because, again, we can take these words as being accusatory.
Right, and that's not what we're doing. These words are to empower you. If you don't like it, change it.
Mm-hmm. 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 And these words are without judgment.
Completely without judgment. They're just observational. It's as if he talks about the science of remembering. Mm-hmm. It's just as if a scientist was observing something under a microscope or in the lab. Mm-hmm. They're there to witness and give information about what they are observing. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. You alone are cause to your material experience. This is perhaps a very unpleasant truth, but it has to be known and accepted if a correct way is to be found to be happy. Already in your mind are the right ideas seeking your right thinking to become cause to your inner and outer happiness, right? And so this is true that we have to accept this fact, right? In the same way that we accept the fact of gravity, right? That is a law, right? We're talking about spiritual law, which is equally as reliable and factual. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it, try it out, right? I think in the What is New Thought series, the first message in that series that I gave is I tried it for myself. And really, when we look at the pioneers of New Thought and understand how we got to this philosophy and where we are today, those pioneers just tried it out. They were like, well, I'm reading this idea, mm-hmm. and I'm gathering certain things. For most of them were really using the Bible, right? They were looking at our elder brother Jesus and looking how Jesus thought about his world and created in his world. And it's like, if this is true, what would this look like in my life? Right. What would it look like in my life to see what appears to not be enough, but bless it, and it becomes more than enough?
It was like this was their version of practical spirituality.
Yeah.
At that time, they were taking the teachings of Jesus and applying it to their lives. Mm-hmm. When you read these texts, these classic texts, there is such a knowing mm-hmm. in these texts because they have applied it and tried it for themselves, mm-hmm. and then they write from that place, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. We might not get the behind-the-scenes story of how they got to this level of conviction about it, but it's the same idea. They tried it.
Right. And so this idea, when he's saying it has to be known and it has to be accepted. Now, the other thing is we are living, breathing examples, and we'll continue to talk about the truth of trying it for ourselves, mm-hmm. of accepting this idea, of trying to do it other ways. But then in
mm-hmm.
PY's sermon, there's got to be another way,
mm-hmm.
right? And that was the opening for her to accept the way, right?
And that's the one thing we've said from day one, that we would always share
mm-hmm.
from our personal experiences, so that it's not some elevated place that you have to go.
Right.
You can try these things on for yourself, mm-hmm. because we have, and we
mm-hmm.
talk about when we aren't successful.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no judgment in our conversation around us,
right.
and therefore there should be no judgment in your experience and learning
right.
these things for yourself.
Yeah. It's called practice for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You have no need to implore the deity. You do have need to know yourself as a great spiritual potential of happiness. God's work in you as you has been completely accomplished. It awaits your recognition and your practice of its ideas. So here he said, you have no need to implore the deity. This was part of one of the questions we received, right? There is a place in thinking, and he speaks to this a little later in the chapter, right, where many of us have been taught at varying levels and degrees that we must seek God, right? So when unwanted things show up in our life, oh Lord, please take this thing away from me. Oh God, make it better. Oh God, help me. Oh God, heal me, right? This is imploring the deity,
mm-hmm.
right?
You make these bargains with God.
Right.
If you do this,
right.
then I'll do this.
Right.
Right?
But this idea, when he says God's work in you as you has been completely accomplished, what it means is, and that's a course in love, right? Mm-hmm. I am the accomplished, right? What it is getting us to understand is that all that we need, we already possess within us. So the opportunity is to go within, right? I need to start making changes within my own consciousness, which then will align with who and what God is. And by law, it will then outpicture as good. It will outpicture as wanted. It awaits what? Your recognition. And then we just used the word earlier, your practice mm-hmm. of its ideas. So again, practice. It's not even that you're going to get it right 100% of the time.
Right. We still don't.
That's the nature of it, right? Because you start to learn. A lot of our conversations that we have between ourselves is new awarenesses around the practice, or, oh, I see this, I understood it and I made use of it, but now I see it in a new way, or in a wider way, or in a more expanded way, and I get to live in the joy of that, but then practice and apply it from this depth understanding, right? Because,
Right.
right?
I mean, our meditation, divine love is flowing through me now, right? We don't have to beg love to flow through us.
Right.
It's just flowing. Love, unconditional love, God is just moving through us right now. We don't have to beg it, and we don't have to go out and do a whole bunch of things in the world to prove that we're worthy of this love, power, divinity flowing through. It just does.
Right, right. I think, again, it was in the previous chapter, this idea that we reject that there's something wrong with humanity, that humanity is broken, that we're sinful, so then we need something to complete us, right? God's work in you as you has been completely accomplished.
Right.
But it simply waits our recognition of
I
it.
am the accomplishment of God.
Yeah.
Right. Meaning it already thought it through and already endowed it with everything, already knew it was successful, already knew it could be healthy, happy, whole, already knew it could be prosperous.
Joel
Right.
Goldsmith, he uses the word fulfillment. We are the fulfillment of God. Right? Think about what that means if something is fulfilled. Right?
Right. It ain't a half fulfilled.
Right.
Right. It's fulfilled.
Right.
If you-
Complete, have everything it needs.
Is
Accomplished.
everything.
Done.
Yes. Like if you just start
Perfect.
sitting with that word, those words.
I'm satisfied with it.
Right. I was going to say. Anyway, it's the accomplished.
Right. This is why I say we are God's good idea. It's
Not
powerful.
its I was going to say some
half-ass.
half-ass
Say it.
idea.
Right. Right. We know what half-ass is. That's not how God sees you.
That's not how God creates or works.
Right.
Now we can half-ass accept.
There you go. There it is. And that's really what we're doing. And so then we have half-ass experiences. We have half-ass conditions and relationships. We have half-ass financial prosperity.
Right. Right? And there's no judgment in that. That's observation from people that know.
Been there.
Been there.
And so he goes on, here's a spiritual treatment to make you aware of this. And as always, like I said, we've made the slides here for the treatment, so you can download those. There is one mind, God, infinite good. This good includes all that I am. I thought we might get through this whole chapter, but we're probably not going to get through the whole chapter today, and that's okay. We'll come back next week because he's used this several times. He said this in different ways in the treatments, and I don't know that everyone has fully accepted. This good includes all that I am. See, this is what makes New Thought different. This is what makes spiritual mind treatment different. This is what makes affirmative prayer different, because we affirm and recognize who and what God is, and then we are included in that thing. The infinite good that God is, this good includes all that I am. I am a part of it. I am one with it. I can never be separated from it. It's harmonious. It's unified. Because that is true, therefore, it includes every idea that I need to be happy and creative. These divine ideas are right now functioning in my consciousness. Not, Lord, please change my consciousness.
It's already there, right?
Not, okay, I'll study and read more if you would please. No, these divine ideas are already here, and what are they doing right now? Functioning in my consciousness. What are they doing? Revealing themselves to me right now. I am open and receptive to these ideas. Not, well, I'd like to think about this, maybe. No, I am open. I am receptive to these ideas.
And remember, these treatments are treating the mind that doesn't believe this is true. Okay, so just take that in and let that also marinate. That this treatment is to help you remember the truth, live the truth, and know that these affirmative thoughts are already true. You might not. You might be a little hesitant, but start with the willingness to accept that this is true.
Exactly. I am alert to their intuitive instruction. There is no resistance in me to my good. There are no old patterns of unhappiness, no false ideas that I am unworthy. They're gone. I am a spiritual being, an individualization of life. My subconscious mind now accepts these statements and acts upon them. Now I know my rejoicing pathway. Lord,
My pathway is clear. Woo, we over here just bouncing up and down as we read.
This is good.
This is so
good.
good.
This is powerful. This is powerful.
All of the mind treatments are here, whether we cover them or not during the class. So make sure that pick the one that really resonates with you. Live with it for 30, 90 days. Just live with it. Dissect it. Move through it. What does this mean? How does it feel? Why am I resistant to accepting it as true? And then have compassion for that self.
Yeah. It is interesting that the superabundance of things available, the ever-expanding numbers of well-educated people in all the fields of modern science have not increased man's happiness. I'm going to say this because it's what came to mind as I read this. And this is for people of color. This is for children of immigrants, right? We were told the story, right? And education is powerful and necessary. But we thought that was going to do it. Right? You get educated enough. You get into those circles, you get the degrees, you get the positions, right? And then all of a sudden, we as a people will be happy, right? All of us it's one of the things, if you're thinking about coming out of segregation, and specifically the 70s and 80s, and you see so much Black excellence and so much Black victory and triumph. Right, but it didn't change the experience for the overwhelming amount of Black folks, and of course, it hasn't stopped experiences like the murder of Breonna Taylor or George Floyd. Right, so there's a recognition that it's something else. Right, it's like all of that stuff, as we thought that was it. Right, we were told that was it. We were told we were told that was it. We were told that this is the thing you do, and you would be accepted, and blah blah blah.
And why does the accomplished need to be accepted by anyone?
Hey,
right. Think about that. The accomplished doesn't have to jump through hoops to be accepted, to be elevated to the level of another. We bought into it.
Yep.
And we have perpetuated it, and understandably so. We were trying to figure out how, right?
Now he goes on, this does not mean we should go back to the dark ages to be without comforts, education, and science. Of course not, right? It means the world of the mind and not the world of form is the final arena in which to seek and to find the joy of living. The material world will make you comfortable, but it will, oh Lord, have mercy, will not make you happy. Your arrangement of your world is through the power of mind, and this you have.
Right. And it is not to say that in the material world you cannot have things that contribute to your already abundance of happiness.
There you go.
But if you think it's going to be the thing, then you're going to have some problems.
Right. And know that we want you to be and live comfortably.
Yes.
That
We're not saying that at all.
Please, right? This material world will make you comfortable, and you should experience the comforts to the level that you desire, that you feel comfortable with. Absolutely. We believe in comfort. And the best of comforts that are available to us in this material world. But I also recognize that that's not what's going to make me happy. Yeah, we go to the Hamptons every summer, but the Hamptons is not why I'm happy, right? That's not it, right? That's very important. That's very important to understand, right? Yes, restaurants we love to enjoy, right? Wonderful, right? But that's not the reason I'm happy.
Actually, we bring our happiness there so that we can experience the happiness that is present in that situation more.
Right.
No, I know that we've used, for some of us who have had issues with food and use it for comfort, it made sense, right? We made this connection between the food giving us the comfort, right? But what we're realizing is that the comfort is already there, and we don't have to use these tools. If I sit down to a meal, it's because I'm already happy and I'm going to enjoy the meal more.
Exactly.
Not to bring me happiness because I feel empty.
Right.
I speak based on my own experience. That's all I'm saying.
That's real. Tools of the mind. We have more techniques today to make people happy than we have ever had before. The last 100 years have brought forth the birth and development of psychology, psychiatry, psychoanalysis, and our field of metaphysical science. All of these deal with mental and emotional causation, Yet, the number of unhappy people increases at a far greater rate than the facilities of psychological therapies can handle. There are not enough skilled minds to handle the increased numbers of disturbed people. And here, again, this word he's using, disturbed is, again, not a clinical term.
Right. He's not a therapist of any kind.
Right. That is why books of this kind are rendering a valuable service. Whatever you need to make you happier is at hand. No longer can anyone say he is isolated. There is always something to help you, and it is where you are, if it is only the public library. Here you will find mental tools that bring light to the mind and hope to the heart. Remember, you are seeking ideas and mental attitudes to create happiness. The material world of itself cannot produce your inner sense of peace and well-being. Things cannot do it, but ideas can do it. And you are a thinker thinking ideas, so you can produce your happiness by letting creative ideas govern your everyday thinking, right? So this reminds me of our conversation last week about hope, right? And understanding that the reason that hope is beneficial as a starting point is because the material world cannot produce hope. Right? Hope actually exists outside of whatever the material world is showing.
It has to.
It has to. Right? Right? And then we get into faith, right? The scripture now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And it goes on, all things were made from the invisible rather. Right? So we recognize that nothing in this material experience, and this is part of what happens for us when we have not learned that life is lived from the inside out. As soon as the outside changes, all is lost. Right? We have no inner compass, right? We have no sense of north. We have no sense of ease or calm or all is well, right? 8 years of Barack Obama, 4 years of Donald Trump, right? And I remember one of the things that I posted after that election, I posted, "I am secure." And I posted it from the perspective of recognizing that was something that I was affirming every day, inspired by spiritual economics and Butterworth's prayer there on security. And so I recognized that my sense of security had to be based on something else, because this dude out here in the material world was not going to in any way give me an inner sense of calm, peace, or well-being. Things cannot do it. Presidents cannot do it. Lovers cannot do it. Homes cannot do it. Cars cannot do it. Jobs and careers cannot do it. Titles and positions cannot do it.
Absolutely.
But ideas can, and you are the thinker thinking ideas.
And the ideas that he's referencing are the ideas that we're talking about in this text. Ideas can do it. Truth can do it.
Right.
Treating the mind that doesn't believe or even have access to these other ideas can do it. It opens up the pathway that this divine intelligence can flow in, through, and as your experience.
And as we have said many times, and so this is not Pollyanna positive thinking. We are not positive thinkers. We're positive knowers of ideas that are beneficial. Very different. The kingdom of God is within, and here is the source of ideas. Every spiritual sage has told us this. All scriptures have pointed out this truth, but we are geared in the wrong direction. We are so busy doing so many things that we fail to nurture the mind with right ideas. The consciousness of most people is starved for new creative impulses. It is hungering and thirsting for righteousness, as the Sermon on the Mount has been proclaiming for 2,000 years. This is an inside job. And we are equipped to nourish this hunger and quench this thirst by developing new ideas, finding new interests, and thinking what? New thoughts. Step off the treadmill of monotonous routines and monotonous thinking. To rehash the good and evil of the past is stupid, unnecessary, and destructive. It's unintelligent.
It's an unintelligent use of mind.
Grasp new tools of the mind, for they are at hand. Great ideas are seeking your awareness. They need your mind in which to function in order to give you fuller self-expression. And your fuller self-expression brings your happiness. Frustration is sin.
It means mistake.
Right. or error, right?
Yeah.
It is an insult to the God that created you to be a thinker. You have no need for self-hurt. You have no need for boredom. You were born to be a dynamic thinker of great ideas, producing interesting experiences for yourself and others. The equipment to do this you have by divine right.
You have no need for self-hurt. I love Byron Katie. When I believe my thoughts, I suffer. A Course in Miracles talks about it as well. We don't have to believe the thoughts that we think that are causing us pain. Right? And some of those thoughts that are causing us pain are those judgmental thoughts that we're not even conscious that we are thinking about ourselves. That's why I say put down the hammer. We're constantly beating ourselves up with the shoulds and the wouldas, and I'm not this and I'm not that. That's self-hurting. And then you end up in some situations that are also reinforcing the same self-hurt. Right?
And one of the things I think is important here, because you may be hearing this as kind of a, climb every mountain, go out and be great kind of statement, right? Even when he's talking about new ideas, finding new interests and new thoughts. And so this is not about, I think I'll look into sewing. I thought that was interesting, right? Or, I'll go try this hobby or this thing. That's not what we're talking about here. The new ideas and new interests and new thoughts are around wherever your current suffering or problem or issue is. It's time to find new ideas, interests, and thoughts around that thing.
Absolutely.
Right? So if there's something going on with your money, you're going to have to start to find new ideas, interests, and thoughts about money. Right? We are going to do at some point this year, I'm working on a Metaphysics of Money series that we're going to do. It might be the next series. But it's important. You got to have a whole different mindset about what money actually is in order to have a different experience of money. Right? If you're constantly going on a bunch of bad dates and think that there are no good people out here and everybody is just terrible, it's awful, you're going to have some new ideas, new interests, and new thoughts around humans in general, and around dating and around yourself being dateable, right? If you are in an experience right now where there's something going on in your body and you're seeking healing, right? You're going to have new ideas, new interests, and new thoughts about what's possible for you to heal, what's possible in terms of you finding the right doctor or the right people, what's possible that it's actually going to be affordable for you, what's possible that it could be easy, what's possible that it could be something that's right in your neighborhood or right around the corner. You're going to have to start to have new ideas, interests, and new thoughts around that specific thing.
So whatever the thing that is causing you pain, you got to start to develop new ideas about it.
Yes.
And then that changing of your consciousness will lead you to the inspired ideas to support that change in thinking. Right.
Because remember, what did we read earlier? Life responds by corresponding to your thoughts. So that means that it can only respond, it can only outpicture what you're thinking. So we place new thoughts in around this thing. We start to entertain new ideas.
And one of the new thoughts that we entertain is forgiving ourselves and setting ourselves free from what we now become conscious of.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
We will forever be a broken record about forgiving yourself and setting yourself free around whatever you thought 2 seconds ago, until you just read this and it dawned on you what we're saying, right? Forever. The moment you become conscious, forgive yourself and set yourself free to welcome new ideas, new ways of being.
Yes. We go on. Once you decide that you will be happy, you then need to state that you are now happy. This science does not deal with the future. It deals only with the now. You may argue that you cannot state you are happy when you are unhappy, that you would be telling a lie. Actually, when you do this, you are stating a truth, for the infinite endowed you with happiness. It is where you are and in your present mind. It is not a thing that comes and goes, nor does it have beginnings and endings. It is a spiritual constant, awaiting recognition and statement. The seeming lie is preparing the way for the truth to reveal itself.
Right, the seeming lie. The conscious mind can only accept what it sees and knows and has experiences. We are treating the subconscious mind that accepts whatever we give it as truth. You see the difference? Right?
To state that you are not happy gives freedom. That you are not unhappy, gives freedom to the creative ideas in your mentality to be activated, to rise out of their subconscious depths and begin their correct activity. Your negative mental states force them into retirement for a while. Now they come out of their forced inaction and burst into creativity. On the surface, you then have intuitive insights to do something new, fresh, and different.
Right.
Right? That's what begins to happen. I love that. I love the imagery that he uses here, this idea that all you're doing is unearthing, revealing, resurrecting. Right?
I like to say
Jesus story.
I like to say restoring.
Right. What already exists, right? But the negative thoughts are just piled on top of them, right? As we remove them, truth is revealed. Right? Truth is absolutely revealed.
Absolutely.
The necessity of the new, and this might be our last section for today. I'm just looking at the time. Static states are not conducive to happiness. Static states produce monotony, and this in turn creates boredom. And the latter was never intended for you. When you are bored, you are experiencing that which God never planned. The infinite in its creative process is always exciting. To be a participant in the process of the infinite becoming variety on the plane of the finite is glorious. It is your true state. It is your normal state. It is you at your greatest and best. It is you when you are creatively happy. And let's think about this. Nature is a wonderful example of this, right? And we can say that nature is never bored. Now, what's interesting, nature has states like a winter state, which seems calm and frozen and static, and yet we know through the study of nature there's a whole lot going on. There's a whole lot going on underneath the surface, those plants that are preparing to burst forth in spring. But then even on the surface, right, there are animals and insects and other beings that thrive in those conditions. Like there's always something pulsating. There's always something happening. There's life. There's animation. And there's one of the things why I love the symbols of Christmas, the Christmas tree or the evergreen, right? The idea that green exists even in the state of winter and the frozen cold, right? All of those things. So when you think about boredom in that state, right, and from that perspective, and the idea that nature is always expressing, right, and bursting forth with creativity and bursting forth with something new, we are one with it, right? As much as we marvel at nature, we're one with it, right? The same mind that created it created us, and we are a unified whole. And so that which is possible and we see expressing in nature is also possible and can express in, through, and as us.
I love this idea, too, about the static states produce monotony. If you go back to what we were saying previously about thought, your thoughts about yourself have become static, monotonous. And you become bored, and so you, instead of turning to see why that boredom is there and what that boredom is about, we tend to go do things.
Yo, wow. Okay, this is powerful.
Right? We instead of saying that what I'm doing is I keep thinking the same unworthy thoughts about myself to the point where it is monotonous, and I have even forgot to look in my mind and see what's going on. It's so monotonous that it's become the white noise of my mind. It's so monotonous that I got to go out here and find some way to do something else instead of realizing, wait, what am I thinking about myself that is static, that has made me bored with myself and looking for love to validate me and make me interesting when I was born interesting?
Right. And this is what can lead us to misusing drugs, misusing alcohol, misusing sex, right? Misusing so many different things because we're in this static monotony. We don't know how to get out of it. And we're trying to do all these other things. But of course, and we all, I mean, I've experienced this, and I'm sure many of us have, right? You can go out and drink and get drunk and even have fun, right? And have a good time. But when that mess wears off, right? If you're not hungover, the static monotonous thoughts are still there.
Which is why for many people this pandemic can be challenging.
Right.
You know, when the bars closed, it forced people indoors to their own thoughts and their own mind. And it's not a judgment to say that that's what happened. It did happen. And if you don't understand what's happening when those thoughts are now so present that you can't drown them out with whatever you used before, it can create mental disruption, right? Discomfort. And I guess I have compassion for all of us that we were forced indoors in our home and indoors in our minds, and we were trying to avoid what was there. And now we realize, set ourselves free, that now we don't have to have static thought. We don't have to go back to what we were thinking about ourselves before. We can implore new thought because guess what? Life is never really static. We just been on repeat. We just been in that groove in our mind and playing it over and over and over. And now we get to pick up the needle, I'm dating myself, on that record and put it on a new track, on a new song.
He uses that metaphor in this chapter. You know, records are back in now. So
okay, so I'm still okay. I'm still in. All right.
Your greatest hunger is for new ideas. Right, and I highlighted that because we may not have been aware of that. New ideas. New ideas that you want, need, and must have are in your mind. Declare that they are there and watch them happen in you. Grasp them, use them, and rejoice in them. Then act upon them. Right? What do we do first? Know that they are there. Declare that they are there, experience them arise, and then we grasp them, we use them, we celebrate, we rejoice, right? We have to get full of the feeling first. And that getting that full of the feeling is like putting gas in your car before you go on the road trip. Then you can drive for hours and hours and hours. Right?
Most of us is like, I got to quit my job. And you're like, but you're going to take you with you if you haven't done this process. He actually, in this paragraph, outlines how it works.
Yeah.
Right? This is some good stuff. Is everybody else enjoying this as much as we are? Because I'm over here sweating. I take my glasses off.
Do something different. Say something different. Become a different person. Try different restaurants. Change from your favorite department store. Walk down some new street in your neighborhood and watch for interesting things. Be a sidewalk superintendent and watch a new building being built. Marvel at a few things for a change. All of this is possible and you can do it. Again, this stuff, see, part of what happens, that whole section there when he talks about try something different. Now I know there are people that are teaching courses and have folk, change your life, and they tell you this stuff, right? To do something different, but you haven't done the first things first. And so that works temporarily. Partly because of the excitement of the class, right? This person may be a good salesperson. They got you hyped. And of course we understand how the power of mind works, but it's not sustainable, right? It's not sustainable. So you could go out and do these things right now, but if you have not first treated your mind, right? And know that these ideas are within you, declare that they are there, watch them happen, experience that, then you embrace them, grasp them, and use them, and then act upon them because they're guiding you. So the ideas in your mind that you may be guided, it might not be any of these. It might not have nothing to do with a department store, restaurant, or neighborhood.
No. And I just love, if you haven't highlighted this paragraph about what to do and how to do it, this is one of those you get to come back to. Right? It's so important. We are not against action. We are in favor of right action.
There you go.
Right? We are in favor of right action, producing right results that compel me, right? He talks about that. It's one of my favorite things that he says. Producing right results that compel me to right action.
Absolutely. Old ideas will not create new conditions. They never have, and they never will. They slow us down. It's like a gradual putting on of brakes to the mentality. Watch your mind as you balance your checkbook and make certain that you are thinking what you want to experience. You know how much money you have in your checking account, but do you know what ideas are directing your consciousness?
Right.
The latter is far more important than the former.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're sitting there begrudgingly writing, most of us don't use checkbooks too much anymore. If you're begrudgingly paying your bills, then those are the ideas that are impacting your finances.
Right. You could be paying your bills and have all of the money to pay your bills, but still worried about not being able to pay your bills. That's what's in your consciousness.
Right.
Right. And so, unfortunately, then if that chronic thought continues, right, that's going to lead to some unwanted experiences. But the truth is, wait, all my needs are met.
All my needs are met. Thank God.
Praise God. All my needs are met, right? Or whatever, you're on your computer, on your phone, right? I rejoice. I love paying my credit card bills.
I do now.
It's a joy. Seriously.
It is now. And I never would have thought that I would be one of those people. I've read that for years.
Yeah.
Be in the joy of paying and pay it joyfully and affirm all my needs are met. And I was like, this is some bull. Because right now it don't feel like it. But I said, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to shake up the static ideas in my mind about how I pay my bills and what I have to use, what resources I have. And I began to do that. And guess what? It felt uncomfortable in the beginning.
Yeah.
It felt like I was faking it in the beginning. It felt like I was a fraud. My conscious mind was telling me this is some bull. But I kept on introducing new ideas, these kinds of ideas, into my consciousness. Yeah. And now it's like, wow. If they're not on auto pay, I try not to do that sometimes so I can have the experience of paying it in the moment and the joy of doing it. But for the most part, it's like, yes, I have resources. And that's where my mind is. Not what's coming out of my account.
Right.
And what I got to pay next week.
It's real.
And I hope we're helping to illuminate this understanding of these concepts, because we were like the same place, like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
But being on the other side of it now, I can say that it works.
Yep.
But I had to apply it myself. I couldn't let, PG apply it for me. He was over there applying it for himself.
Right. That's real. And one of the things that I think about in this financial context, right, I could think about, being gainfully employed, making a good salary, and I could never understand why I didn't feel like I had enough, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So the circumstance didn't have to change. It's not like, oh, I love paying my credit card bills now because I make so much money. That's not what changed. Right? What changed is how I looked at the things
what I had.
that I already possessed, right? Again, this is why that the teaching in that loaves and fishes story with Jesus was he took what was glaringly not enough in that context, right? And blessed it. He didn't argue. I think about it all the time, like how I would have probably cussed the disciples out.
Like,
what y'all want me to do with this?
What y'all want me to do with this? These dried up fish.
5,000 people plus women and children, according to the story.
Right. What you want me to do with it? I can't.
You better send them out. Can somebody go get some takeout? Like,
right.
I'm not a caterer. Like, you think about all the things that he could have said that would have been valid.
Right. Look, they came to listen to me. That don't mean I got to feed them.
Right.
All the things.
Let them figure it out.
They can figure it out. We're going to take a break here so that they can go for lunch or whatever the meal was.
There's some water over here. They can go fishing. So but this is it's the consciousness, and in the context of that story, his consciousness was in such a space, right, where he could look at that and know that it was sufficient and more than enough, not because it was, but he knew that God is all sufficiency, right?
Right, and that's the level of a master teacher, right? Yeah, I don't know if I could have done that.
So it's our consciousness, right? Do you know what ideas are directing your consciousness, right? Apply it in other ways. You're dating, even if you're just swiping on an app. Like, what is your consciousness as you're swiping?
Right, look, I ain't gonna find nothing.
Right.
or before you even open up the app,
Right.
check your consciousness.
Right. You're going on a job interview. You're creating your resume. You're sending out your resume. All of right. Think of these activities. Do you know what ideas are directing your consciousness as you're doing these things?
Right.
The latter is far more important than the former. A forward-moving consciousness is life. A static, dull consciousness is an unconscious preparation for death. And that's not death in the physical, it's whatever the experience is. Stagnating in old concepts causes your consciousness to create problems. Problems are to the mind what pain is to the body. They are warning symbols. They are different indications that something creative must be done in the mind. Wise people know this and start reversing their thinking when the problem appears. Two things that come to mind. I always say lower your threshold for pain, right? So you pay attention earlier. Mama Iyanla Van Zant, pain, pay attention inward now, right? So in the same, it's like here we're talking about emotional pain. And so, right, when problems start showing up or things just seem to be going awry and you're like, well, I thought I had a positive, outlook on what was going on, or I thought things were clear in my consciousness, but then you're watching these things show up, right? It's an indicator.
That's all.
Right? They are different indications that something, creative must be done in the mind, right? There's a new thought that must emerge, right? This is where visioning, right? What is God's idea of itself as my life? What is seeking to emerge, right? We ask those questions.
And it's not creative, I'm going to go do something out there different.
Right.
It's like, oh, my mind has gotten in a groove. And that groove, not in a good sense, is not serving me.
Right.
It's static. It's stuck.
Yes.
Right? And so I need to introduce a new idea, not out in the world, to do something out there. That comes later. We're not saying it doesn't come. We're saying it comes later. I'm going to introduce a new treatment to my mind. I'm going to introduce a new way of being compassionate with myself about what I discovered, and then move through the steps, and then go out in the world. And here's the thing, because most people don't operate this way, they think this process that we're talking about takes a long time.
Right.
It takes a long time because we're resistant to the process.
Right.
It doesn't have to take a long time. There have been many instances where I become very conscious of an old pattern, and I have done the work, shifted it in the moment, and then gone out. Doesn't have to take forever, right? Because we're in so much pain, by the time we recognize it, we want it to be over.
Right.
And so we go in a hurry to do things. But if we begin to recognize earlier, lower the threshold, then we can take the next necessary steps easily and effortlessly to change that and introduce a new thought that leads us to the inspired action, the right action.
Yes.
I hope this is making sense to everyone while we're taking this much time and applying practical ideas and things that have happened for us and that are probably happening in your experience.
Again, wise people know this and start reversing their thinking when the problem appears. They seek a new idea to solve it, not an old idea. It is well said that necessity is the mother of invention. You may think a minor problem is not that important, but it is. It needs your new thought about it to reduce it to nothing. Letting minor problems exist in your world means that more will be generated. Soon the aggregate of the minor problems becomes your major one. It has come to full bloom and you are depressed. Again, not clinically depressed, but sad or just not happy with
stifled,
the experience.
Come to a standstill in your experience.
Right. The solution of any difficulty is as near as your next thought.
I love this.
Yes. All the ideas of the infinite mind await your claim upon them. It is a truth of the greatest importance. There is not something physical to be done. There is only a new idea to be thought. It is obvious that some form of either conscious or subconscious mental action precedes any external action, right? And it's obvious. This sofa that we're sitting on had to be thought about in order for it to exist, right? We know that is obvious, but we don't think of it in this context. But yet we know it to be true.
And the more you practice this, the quicker you begin to respond when you notice the ideas, the quicker you bounce back. And so it doesn't even feel like it takes any time to implant a new idea, think a new thought, move through the process, and act.
And then that next statement, right? All action is dependent upon thought. And again, that's the thing that we as metaphysicians must embody and live and remind ourselves over and over. All action is dependent upon thought. As a thinker, you think thoughts, and thus you have the key for controlling all the action that takes place within you, as you, and around you. Too few people know this principle and apply it.
So you can have all the knowledge. What do we say? But if you ain't experiencing it and integrating it and trying it, then it's just information.
The average person lets their mind run riot and then complains bitterly about their difficulties. Tell him that he needs new ideas and to think differently than he has been thinking, and he will laugh at you. The truth is that you can direct your mind and change any situation for the better. This includes your happiness. I am not saying that thinking is happiness. I am saying that thinking based on exciting new ideas is the cause of happiness. When you decide to be happy, the creative process of mind moves into instant action upon your decision. Being all intelligent, it knows what to do and does it. Ideas reveal themselves in their purity of newness and with their endowment of total capacity to produce themselves fully in your experience. Something takes over your mind that is greater than your present mind. God moves into action in you and by means of you in order to expand the you that you know into the larger you that yet shall be. All this is done in order by means of the law of mind. New causes are set in motion and new effects follow as certain as night follows day. You watch the ideas unfold. You perceive the birth process. You behold new events arising in the womb of your consciousness and emerging into your everyday life, bringing new colors, new tones, and new activities. Speak the following aloud. And I think we have a slide on this one. Oh, it's the wrong slide. The action of the infinite mind is the action of my mind at this instant. Again, that's that union, right? That union with God's mind is your mind. And the action and activity of God is the action and activity within your own mind at this instant. The infinite never repeats itself. It is a constant source of newness of causation. In my consciousness right now are new ideas revealing new experiences of joy. My subconscious mind now accepts these new ideas as law and brings them to pass in perfect ways. There is nothing in me to obstruct God's action. Right, because it's impossible. You're one with God. Every phase and function of my consciousness cooperates with the new ideas appearing in my thought. These new ideas, accepted by me now, make my life interesting, creative, and happy. For this, I rejoice, give thanks, and am glad.
These treatments are so powerful.
Yes, yes. So we are going to end with that section, and we'll pick up the rest of this chapter next week because there are some action steps. And I actually think it'll be great to close this chapter next week, and then that gives you a week off to practice some of the action steps as we move into Decide to Be Happy. And of course, when we're off at the end of the month, you can also revisit some of the classes and some of the other things that we've shared. Oh, but this is such a joy, such a joy. My goodness, I am filled up.
Yes.
I also recognize we have the God Talk at 1. So we want to have a little break in between now and then. So you've seen the information on your screen for giving. It is very easy to give at CSC, but what's more important, are we aware of what's in our consciousness, as Barker says, as we're giving? And that's why we say give what feels good, right? We're saying put that feeling good idea and tone. That's what must be happening and stirring in your consciousness as you're giving.
Yeah, lower that threshold for pain on giving. Practice there.
So it's easy to give to CSC. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. There's a $10 minimum to text to give. But again, what's most important is give what feels good. Get rid of the shame, get rid of the guilt, get rid of the sense of obligation, get rid of any of that old, icky, yucky,
mess,
unfulfilling mess. Yeah. Right. And give what feels good, no matter what that is. Let it be your joy number. And when you give from that place, when you give from that consciousness, then you can affirm this truth. All the money that I use
All the money that I use
returns to me multiplied
returns to me multiplied
in a never-ending cycle
in a never-ending cycle
of increase
and
enjoyment.
And enjoyment.
Yes, yes. And so we are grateful to each and every one of you. We're grateful for your gifts to CSC, and we're grateful for you being here and showing up for yourselves and digging into this information and asking questions and seeking to apply it and seeking to look at it in different ways and coming at it with a beginner's mind and a fresh mind. We're just going to, continue this journey together. It will be wonderful. We do have the God Talk at 1, so feel free to bring questions, whether it's, about something related to class or just something that's showing up in your life and you want to learn to apply these principles. We are happy to support you in that. It is happening on Zoom, so if you're on our mailing list, you've already received the details. It's the same link every week, but it's only sent via email.
Yes, same link every week.
So the email that went out on Friday, it's there. If you, I think it's under the This Sunday heading. And if you're a first-time guest, if you join our, or rather if you complete our digital connection card here, once you complete it with your email address, then you will be sent a separate email with the God Talk information. If we don't see you at the God Talk, we trust that you will have an amazing, awesome Sunday and an even better remainder of your week. We will look forward to connecting with many of you on Wednesday morning for prayer. I know that prayer is always available. The recording is available to you. And for everyone else, we'll be back here together next Sunday at 11 a.m. as we continue with this chapter, chapter 4, Decide to Be Happy. So feel free to read the chapter again, dig into it again, send us additional questions if you have them.
Yes, please make sure you get those questions in by Friday so that we can properly prepare for those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We love y'all and we appreciate y'all, and we will see you soon.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.